Today, I'm ranking every single Mario game on the Switch. We got some truly incredible Mario games on the latest console, but you might be surprised to see which game I have at number 2. Let's get started, shall we? Number 17. I'm the kind of person who gets addicted to this type of game. Anytime you can get a high score or fastest time, just draws me in and keeps me there. I even 100%ed Mario and Sonic on the DS, which required so much grinding to get perfect in the archery mode. But the one on Switch just didn't do it for me. The story mode was probably the most boring Mario story mode I've ever played, and there wasn't much else to do for single player. Yes, what you see on screen here is the vast majority of the story mode gameplay. The events themselves aren't much to write home about. The major gimmick in this game is the 2D events, which take place in Tokyo 1964, but somehow feature sprites from 1984? Also, why is Mario 8-bit but Sonic gets to be 16-bit? It just feels silly and not well thought out. Apparently Alpha Dream had a role in this game, which makes it the last thing they worked on before they went bankrupt. That's a pretty sad way to go out. Number 16. Mario Strikers Battle League. Ah, Mario Strikers. This is a confusing game, to say the least. First off, the trailers were super promising. The mechanics looked faithful to the original, and there was even a cool online competitive mode. But man, the final product was such a letdown. Everything's just way too chaotic. Especially playing with 4 players, it's almost impossible to maintain any semblance of strategy. Boom Boom is also terrible as a goalie, which can be really frustrating if you're expecting him to be as good as Critter from the original Strikers. Whether it's the size of the pitch, or maybe the specific moves, something about the game just isn't fun for me. And that's without even getting into these basic-ass stages. I hope Nintendo learns their lesson and makes a new Mario baseball game next time, instead of soccer. There's way more potential there. Number 15. Super Mario Party. Alright, now we're getting into the games that you would actually have fun with if you played for a while. Although this game was definitely a slight disappointment, with its slow pace and lack of online play, I still had a lot of fun with the river survival mode and rhythm minigames. They were pretty creative ways to use the Joy-Cons, although it does suck that they force you to use them. As for the core gameplay, they finally did away with the everyone rides in a car together mechanic, and even added character-specific dice blocks, which could be a mainstay in the series. But man, only 4 boards, and the incredibly boring partner party mechanics, there's a lot left to be desired here. I don't go back to that now that we have superstars, but it was pretty fun for a couple of years. Number 14. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Peachette, Peachette, Peachette. This game sold 17 million copies. In all seriousness, I wasn't sure if I even wanted to include this game on the list. It hardly added any content at all, besides combining the new Super Mario U and Luigi U games, and the graphics only got a slight improvement. Still, I think it technically counts as a remake, and a lot of people have played it, so it's worth including. The original New Super Mario Bros. U was a solid game overall, and the challenges were especially fun. The Switch version added Toadette, who can collect the infamous Super Crown item and turn into Peachette. She also gives you an extra 100 seconds on the clock in New Super Luigi U, which completely eliminates the challenge. There's really no reason to buy this if you own the original, but it's still a decent 2D Mario game, so it gets a boost on this list. Speaking of boost, they completely eliminated boost mode, which is where you place platforms with a gamepad. So this game is kinda just worse than the Wii U version. Well done, Nintendo. Well done. Number 13. Mario Tennis Aces. Now this is a game I don't have much experience with, but after watching it a good amount and playing the demo, I think it's safe to say that it's good but not great. Tennis games aren't really that fun in general for me, but I did enjoy Power Tennis a lot because of its tight mechanics and wacky side games. Aces introduces the ability to slow down time by using some of your super meter, which works okay, I guess. There's also an interesting story mode with some cool extra content, but my friends have told me that the main problem is the lack of motivation to play online. It's pretty fun to link up with a partner to play doubles online, but the single player experience just isn't that interesting. To be honest, I feel this problem with most online Mario games, and if you're not playing online, there's not much left to do on your own after beating the story mode. I'm not sure what Nintendo could do to entice me to buy the next tennis game, unless it also had baseball. Number 12 and 11 is Mario & Rabbids 2 and Mario & Rabbids 1. I really did not think I would enjoy Mario & Rabbids, but the first game had some insanely challenging courses that were a ton of fun to conquer. Except for the one I used easy mode on. I'm forever sorry for that. I also loved the puzzles in between the battles. which sometimes took me a long time to get through. By the time the second game came out, I was kind of sick of the whole gimmick, so I haven't played through all of it yet. The main things they added are the ability to float after jumping off a partner, and the sparks that give you various boosts. The sparks essentially replace the character-specific abilities from the first game, like Mario's Fire Shot. This gives more customization with these abilities, but the fact that you have to manually move the sparks between characters is way more annoying than I think they intended. Also, the puzzles are an absolute joke in the sequel. They're just way too easy. Overall, I prefer the first one, but I think both are decently fun experiences.
Bowser's no friend of ours either.
Oh yeah, voice acting is a thing in the sequel too. I'm tempted to drop it 5 spots just for that alone. Number 10. Paper Mario: The Origami King. Well, this game was polarizing. There are a lot of classic Paper Mario fans who bemoan the direction that this series is headed. No level system, puzzle-based bosses, and of course the toads. So many toads. I definitely agree with some of those, but if you can look past them, there's a lot to like about Origami King. There's a decent story with interesting partners, the combat system is pretty engaging, and the worlds are gorgeous, especially the autumn-themed ones. Shogun Studios also stands out to me as a super vibrant area with lots to do and explore. You can pretty much talk to every toad in the game, and they'll give you some interesting dialogue. And the music, I mean, come on. The battle theme goes so hard, and the overworld tracks are super immersive. Especially Sniff City at night, I love that theme to death. I think the best way to play this game is to immerse yourself in the worlds and not focus on the battles too much. Because honestly, the battles are by far the weakest parts. There's a truly ridiculous amount of content outside the battles, which I would know because I recently went through and 100%ed it for some reason. Given that we're getting 2 classic Mario RPG remakes on the Switch, Nintendo might choose to go back to the pure RPG style for future Paper Mario games, but even if they don't, I'll still look forward to the more action style games that come after Origami King. Number 9. Mario Golf Super Rush. Finally, we get to a legitimately solid Mario sports game on the Switch. I'm a huge fan of this game. I think Speed Golf is the single greatest mode in any Mario sports game ever. Just look at how chaotic this gets. It's an addicting mix of fast-paced action and ultra-focused precision. The Superstar CPU difficulty is even hard enough to give you some damn good competition, so you can have hours of entertainment racing the CPUs to the hole, with plenty of customization to get the right experience just for you. As for online play, there's definitely some lag issues on occasion, but in general it's a nice time, whether you're playing Classic or Speed. I keep coming back to the final course, All-Star Summit, which is such a challenging and engaging experience. Number 8. Mario Party Superstars. Thank God we got this game, so we didn't have to play Super Mario Party for the entire Switch cycle. Superstars is a remake of a mix of Mario Parties 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, they didn't take the absolute best boards from those games, like really, Yoshi's Tropical Island, but they did pick solid minigames for the most part. I especially love Facelift, Crazy Cutters, and Dizzy Dancing. They definitely took good care to improve these minigames to make them way more fun on the Switch than they were on the N64. The pace and presentation are both great, and I really hope this is the blueprint for future Mario Party games. That said, the gap between this game and the top 7 is pretty substantial, so let's move on. At number 7, we got Super Mario RPG. Now this is how you do a remake. I've never played the original, but I absolutely loved my playthrough on Switch. I can't remember the last time I've seen such beautiful and expressive cutscenes in a Mario game. The final cutscene is one of my favorites of all time. Everything to like about the original game is still there. Great characters, funny dialogue, and tough-ass bosses. In the remake, there's now a boost meter, which unlocks your partner-specific triple move, which is a great incentive to change up your party from time to time. There's also a whole post-game quest that's completely new to the Switch version that I just finished working through. But it never feels like the new features are getting in your way. Even the autosave mechanic is inconsequential if you want to use the physical save blocks like in the original. I think this is a great way to provide the best experience to those who have nostalgia for the SNES version. After playing this game, I have incredibly high hopes for the Thousand Year Door remake coming next year. Number 6. Luigi's Mansion 3. I'm so happy that the Luigi's Mansion series is still alive. There's so much potential with cool ghost catching mechanics, especially in a multiplayer scenario. And for the most part, Luigi's Mansion 3 realizes this potential. The ghost slamming is pretty fun, and Scare Scraper works very well. I love the special DLC floors that can be encountered if just one person in the lobby has the DLC. On the other hand, Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube is one of my favorite games of all time, but I think the one on the Switch lacks the scare factor that made the original so frightening as a kid. It's probably a lot harder to maintain the spooky atmosphere if you're focused on introducing a lot of new, sometimes goofy mechanics like LM3 does. You know what else irks me? King Boo. I fell in love with him on the GameCube, but he looks so ugly on the Switch. Look how they massacred my boy! His whole personality is ugly too. He went from being this mysterious and creepy gang leader in LM1 to a whiny brat in LM3. I appreciate that they explored his characterization, but they did it all wrong. So there's clearly some work to do with the story, but I'm still definitely looking forward to Luigi's Mansion 4. Number 5. Super Mario Maker 2. In this game, Toadette expresses her dislike for workers' unions. You can let me know if that's a W or an L from her. But anyway, Mario Maker 2 expanded on the Wii U original by adding new building mechanics, a story mode, and online multiplayer versus. Even though designing levels on the Switch is a touch harder than the Wii U gamepad, the fundamental concepts are so strong that it remains a really fun experience. The new building tools unleash so many new design opportunities that I've been able to, let's say, appreciate in Endless Super Expert. With random people online, multiplayer can turn into a laggy mess, but with a friend or two, it's some of the most fun I've ever had in a 2D platformer, rivaling even the new Super Mario Bros. Wii multiplayer. To be honest, with how crazy Mario Wonder is, I doubt we'll ever get another Mario Maker game. But it did an amazing job squeezing all the juice out of the new and classic 2D Mario games. Number 4. Bowser's Fury. Out of every game that takes less than 5 hours to beat for most casual players, Bowser's Fury might literally be the greatest ever made. The platforming is just so immaculate and varied, moving you from ice skating between spikes to navigating the ocean on Plessy to propelling up buildings in an unbelievably short amount of time. All with the looming threat of Fury Bowser, waiting to attack. The sense of atmosphere is wonderful. I love just hanging out in the center area, staring at the vast world with the relaxing music playing. I think its strengths can be hard to appreciate, given how short it is. And I don't think a full 20-hour 3D Mario would work with this completely open world design. But man, I wish we got these shorter games more often. It really helps us forget about the fact that we'll never get Mario Odyssey 2. Well, mostly. Number 3. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Mario Wonder was such a welcome sight after going more than a decade without a new 2D Mario game. The levels themselves are perfect. Even the wackiest wonder effects function beautifully and are usually seamlessly integrated into the world. Walking on walls, rolling as a spike ball, and even turning the level black and white are just a few of the many wonder situations you can find yourself in after touching a flower. I actually felt fatigued at times by how many crazy new ideas I was experiencing in such a short amount of time. The badges are also extremely fun to use, though they can make the game a bit too easy at times. Like really, giving me the parachute cap this early on and thinking I won't demolish the game with it? Some of the other stuff, like the lackluster bosses at the end of airships, make me hesitant to put it above the absolute classics like Mario World or Mario Bros. DS. But it absolutely deserves a top 3 spot on this list. Number 2. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Wow, putting a spin-off game above one of the most critically acclaimed 2D platformers of all time? Blasphemy. Well, it just happens to be the greatest spin-off game that Nintendo's ever put out. And that isn't put lightly, given the fact that Thousand Year Door and Bowser's Inside Story exist. The biggest criticism you can make about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is that it's not really a new game, so it's kinda unfair to say that a remake could be the best in the whole series. To that I'll say, even more important than the quality of the game is the environment it releases in. Clearly, no major changes were needed to Mario Kart 8's mechanics. It just needed some polish, way more characters, and a fresh slate of tracks, and that was enough to carry it to insane popularity. The way I think about it is that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the epic culmination of nearly 3 decades of Mario Kart development, with controls that allow for an insane competitive scene, along with great accessibility for beginners. The fact that it got an additional 48 tracks for DLC just solidified it at the top of the pack. And it just so happens that some of those tracks, like Wii Rainbow Road, Ninja Highway, and Athens Dash, are some of the greatest Mario tracks ever made. Number 1. Super Mario Odyssey. Of course it had to be Odyssey at the top. The best Mario game on any console is usually the main series 3D one, and this is no exception. You can tell how big of an effort this game was, just by how many new mechanics were seamlessly incorporated into this 3D universe. The biggest criticism I've heard from other gamers is that the moons are just too easy. They prefer the longer missions in Mario Sunshine or Mario Galaxy. To that I say, Mario Odyssey isn't about the moons. It's about the exploration you take along your journey. And the exploration just happens to be fun as hell. The worlds are rich, you can capture just about anything, and use crazy combinations of moves to reach about any platform that you so desire. This all adds up to a game that could surpass even Mario Galaxy and Mario 64 for the greatest Mario title of all time. If I had known at the start that we wouldn't get a sequel to Mario Odyssey, I would have been devastated at the prospects for Mario games on the Switch. But overall, I'm extremely satisfied with the Mario games on Nintendo's latest console. The quality was amazing across the board. Apart from a few lackluster sports titles, they either continue the greatness of the series, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or completely revitalize the series, like Mario Wonder and Mario Party Superstars. As for the next main series titles, I'm completely okay with them taking their time, and I'm so excited to see what Nintendo brings us on the next console. Let me know what your favorite of these games is, and which of these games I could have maybe put higher on the list. Ciao everyone.